heading into the final weekend of the season, regular season for the Guardians, there are major lottery implications for the Guardians facing the Tigers, all pointing in a positive direction for the Guardians to move up in the lottery list. And we turn over our last regular season episode to you for a mailbag.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show. I am Jeff Ellis. Over there is Justin Lotta. And if you're curious, I was just looking up to see who had the tiebreaker between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Sadly, it is Cleveland. So, that's going to be interesting to watch. It does certainly feel like, as Justin pointed out today, Detroit has won a bunch of games. Unless Cleveland sweeps, they're guaranteed a top 10 pick. So Boston's trying to, also sneak their way into that top 10 as well right now. And it's interesting. I mean, the Giants and the Padres are below 500. The Reds, who are having a successful year, are tied with the Yankees in terms of record. And we're going to see currently, Miami, I believe that game is in a rain delay, but they're up on the Cubs for that final playoff spot. So it's going to be fun to watch how all of this unfolds.
Yeah, I was just checking that out before we came on the air, Marlins and Mets, because that has implications. If you're a Guardians fan, we talked about it yesterday. If you're an everydayer, you heard us say, got to root for the Mets. You want the Mets to win to push Cleveland ahead of the Mets in the lottery. Yeah, it's 2-1 Miami. The Mets bullpen blew a one-run lead going into the ninth inning, and now it's in a rain delay. Wild. And Jeff mentioned it too. The Tigers swept the Royals in a doubleheader on Thursday. So going into the weekend, Detroit holds the tiebreaker over Cleveland because of the there's no tiebreaker because Detroit has already clinched the season series over Cleveland. So I guess if they tie, that is it. But Cleveland would need to sweep the Tigers to finish ahead of them at this point. So Cleveland can win. If they lose Friday and Saturday, they can afford to win Tito's last game, but also that could.
Well, it depends kind of what's happening around the league. Let's be honest.
That's true. Pittsburgh and the Mets. So now this weekend, we already mentioned that Pittsburgh is playing the Marlins, who are fighting for their playoff lives. The Mets are playing the Phillies, who the Phillies should be resting their guys. So there's a lot of positive energy going towards Cleveland this weekend.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people
in terms of lottery
are kind of mad about Cleveland season. Like, it's unusual for them to be in the top 10. Again, we'll point out it hasn't happened since Clint Frazier, who's going to turn 30 next year. But I also want to point out today's St. Louis clinched last in their division. I'd be curious to see. I assume the year may not even be true. No, it's not true. Because the year they took Clint Frazier, the Twins picked in front of him. So I'd have to go look and see if it was last time Cleveland was last in their division. But St. Louis is only the second time since like the 19 teens they're finishing last. And this is just one of my favorite random bits of draft information. I've talked about before that the draft used to go AL, NL, AL, NL, which meant that Cleveland always, for some reason, had the worst record when they didn't get the top overall pick. They had the number 2 pick 2 years in a row. The guy in between, Ken Griffey Jr. So worst team in baseball, 2 years. Griffey's in the middle. What's interesting at this and why I talk about it, St. Louis and Boston are the only 2 teams that have never picked first or second. So it's just interesting to see if a lotto shift happens with either of those teams as they both move up, because those are the only teams that have never picked first or second. And Cleveland is a handful of, I used to know, I probably have it somewhere, teams that have never picked one, but there's only 2 teams that have never picked second. And it was a weird year, as mentioned, like San Diego, Cleveland, St. Louis, the Mets. These are all teams that people did not expect to be in the bottom half of the league. But
even the Angels in 6th place right now. I mean, I know they weren't a great team, but they're picking 6 was just pretty high for them. They already picked high this year, so lots to watch this weekend. Unfortunately, none of it you're rooting for Cleveland, and you're not gearing up for a playoff race, which is always a bummer. And Cleveland's got nothing to play for, really. It's advantageous for them to lose. I know Lucas Giolito doesn't want to lose. He's going into free agency, and Tristan McKenzie wants to pitch well going into the offseason, and Cal Quantrill wants to pitch well going into the offseason. They want to probably win one more for Tito. I'm sure but the Tigers are going to want to win this weekend for Miguel Cabrera. It's Miguel Cabrera's last weekend of baseball. So a lot on the line in terms of that. It'll be an interesting series to watch to see the interactions between these two teams with Tito and Miguel Cabrera. And I'm sure, like you said, there's probably some misplaced, we want to finish in second place because that's, and the players, of course the players want to win. The players don't care about the lottery. The players care about winning. But the franchise as a whole should care about the lottery. And I guarantee you Cleveland's thinking about it because it's a big difference maker, as Jeff pointed out. Okay.
Can I do one last thing before we dive in? I have to point this out. I couldn't help. Do you want to know the difference between a good and a bad organization? Nothing shows it better than like Cleveland with, they've had all these prospects. This is the only time they're going to pick in the top 10 in the last decade. And then you have the Angels, who the last 2 years have given up their second round pick so they could sign Noah Syndergaard to a 1-year contract and give Tyler Anderson 3 years. I had forgotten why they didn't have a second rounder. They're so shallow prospect wise. And, the guys they drafted, Chanel looks like he has mild straw power, but he's getting on base at a crazy amount. But man, that's kind of fascinating right there. Kind of shows Tyler Anderson and Thor are the reasons they lost 2 second round picks.
And the Angels also are they're very dangerously close to not finishing below the luxury tax because some player that they traded away or let go is close to getting a bonus due to appearance. I think it's Dominic Leone, former Clevelander Dominic Leone. If he gets one more appearance, I think he gets like a $750K bonus for an appearance, a bonus. And the Angels are forced to pay part of that, which with them over the luxury tax.
And isn't he? Yeah, he's playing for Seattle. So like, if you're Seattle, why? And but I'm just saying, if you're Seattle,
actively hurt the Angels.
Why wouldn't you actively hurt your division rival by throwing him out there? Like, especially if the game gets out of hand.
The Mariners just need to win anyway. If Dominic Leone gives them a chance to win, they're going to pitch him.
Yeah.
And and we've talked about it before.
I think he's with the Mariners, or is he with the Mets now? I need to see. He's the Mariners. He's been with 3 teams this year. It's the Mariners right now.
Yeah. So the Angels, when they do lose Shohei Ohtani over the offseason, the comp pick would be the 4th round and not the 2nd round because of the luxury tax thing. So, Angels, things could always be worse. So, as frustrating as this has been for Cleveland this year, and I know it's been 75 years in general, but it could be worse.
I mean, Seattle.
You got 2 of the best players in baseball history in your team the last decade, and you have done absolutely.
You have the
zero
last 2 generational talents. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like Mike Trout. When I die and I make like my all-time team of my life, Mike Trout will be on it. Like I'm 100%. He is, before health derailed him, he was on a Willie Mays type of career when he was in the early going. It was just unbelievable. And then Ohtani just did things we have never seen. And you have 2 generational talents. And I understand the idea of a generational talent is there shouldn't be 2, but hey. But those 2 guys, and they've managed to be so poor at everything they do. It's comical.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our first question while we still have time.
Yes.
Comes from Tim on YouTube, and this is a Tito question. Do you think Tito gets offered a front office position, at least as an advisor? I am going to say yes.
We said yes yesterday, and yeah.
Yeah, we already said yes. He's going to go out and get off-season surgery. He's got 2 hernias.
Yeah, it's not going to be right away.
He's got a shoulder surgery. I mean, he can consult from his hospital bed at his rehab facility while he's still recovering from those surgeries.
A position, but I think he takes a bit to be active with it. But yes, I agree. I think he gets a position with this team.
Yeah, and I would, like we talked about it yesterday, I would almost guarantee that he is probably going to give the team will ask for his input on managerial stuff. I don't know if he'll be actively like in the room as they interview these new managers.
The room where it happens.
Managers. They don't know if they'll be in the room where it happens, but I guarantee that they will at least reach out and get his opinion on certain guys. And they probably already have, truthfully, at this point. We'll hear more at the post-mortem press conference next week, I'm sure, when all that wraps up. But yeah, the Guardians have already talked about it. He's already mentioned it. If he doesn't manage again, I don't know. I mean, you never know. If he manages again, he might get the itch. He's definitely not managing in 2024.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And I think it would be good for Cleveland to keep him on as an advisor. Clearly very respected, has a good history, knows a lot of stuff. It's worth it. All right, we've got lots of questions both on YouTube and Twitter. We are going to do our best to fit them all in our window today, so hang tight.
You know, we love the new sponsors, and we love those that stick around with us. And one of those is Sleeper. The MLB playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance to win 100 times your payout on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball has never been more exciting. I mean, look at the year Ronald Acuna is having. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. We talked about Ohtani, and Betts is challenging, for the MVP. All you got to do is pick a stat category, pick more or less, Miles Straw, less home runs for stars like these, and then and more for up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, and you can get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details.
$6.40. Check out your SiriusXM app as you're sitting from a high school football game somewhere, maybe. Kristen McKenzie and Joey Wentz. It's Cal Quantrill on Friday, and Joey Wentz for the Tigers, a lefty. So no Bo Naylor. I'm sure we'll see Cam Gallagher and for one of the last times of the season. Oh, the final game of the season. That's great. You definitely want to listen to Cam Gallagher bat on your SiriusXM app. Just search Guardians on that app.
Listening to him will make you want to take a bat to your radio.
Well, that would be your phone, most likely, and I don't think anybody wants to do that. Here's a loaded question, Jeff, from Ultra Paradise on YouTube. Will we ever see prime Jose again? You and I have had some discussions about Jose Ramirez this season, and he has not been peak Jose, and he is 31, 32 now?
He's
31. He just turned 31 this month.
No, I'm going to keep it short and simple on all these. He's past the peak. I mean, you hit 30, you start to decline. You are a smaller build guy. Type. Those types decline earlier. No, we're not going to see those probably top 5 MVP seasons anymore. We can still see a very good player. We still saw a very good player, but quick answer, much like the last one. Last one, yes. This one, no.
Yep, I would say he's got a 5.1 F4 this year. I would say you can expect some more years like this one.
I would
getting back to
see a bit of a downhill. I wouldn't be surprised if next year is 4.8.
Yeah, we'll see. I still feel like the signs are still there that things are okay in terms of where he's finishing right now, but you never know. That turnabout can always come up. Here's a question I don't think we can answer, Aaron. Just curious what your ideal batting order is for opening day next year.
I attempted to answer this. So, in an ideal world, it'd actually probably be Jose 1. I know people will be call me crazy at that because you want a little pop there. But I'm okay. Quan 1, Quan 1, Jose 2, Josh 3, Bo 4, 5, Andre 6, Manzardo 7, Gabby, and then 8 and 9. Whatever outfielders they decide to throw out there.
That's a lot of lefties in a row. Yeah.
Listen, if I was going full bore, I'd have a right-handed and left-handed lineup with platoons. I'm not going that level on this.
You could. You'd have Laureano maybe still here next year.
And Andres is not a traditional lefty. We have enough data to say that Andres is really a right-handed bat masquerading as a lefty.
I think you can bat Andres anywhere. You could, if you wanted to. I think he's a little too aggressive to hit leadoff. But if you wanted to hit him second or third, that would be fine. Like if you had Jose hitting leadoff, I would say you could hit Andres second if you wanted to, and Quan third. The Nailers 4 and 5, and then go from there. But yeah, Bo Naylor has to be up in the lineup next year for sure. He can't be hitting 9th all year. You can play around with Ramon Laureano with a platoon split up there. But yeah, I'm fine with what they have right now. The top 3 that works. Move Jimenez up, move Bo Naylor up. And we'll see where the chips fall in the offseason. I would like to see more David Fry. And your bench can't be Cam Gallagher, Jose Tena, and Tyler Freeman next year. And Miles Straw. Not great. Jackson. Do any prospects make the open day roster? Does the lottery make it up next year? I think you hope that Kyle Manzardo is the starting first baseman on opening day. That should be the idea. I don't think there's any reason that you would go against that at this point. I mean, I know he doesn't have to be on the 40-man roster until 2024, until the end of 2024. But he's in AAA. He's hit the ball well. He's ready, and that's why you made the trade.
Yep. When guys are ready, you bring him up. Listen, they didn't need to add anyone outside of Logan Allen at the end of this year to the roster, and Bybee and Williams.
They already have Bybee and Williams anyway. Yeah. Right. So DeLauder, I'm going to say no. This is typically not what this team does. If DeLauder can force the issue, it's one thing, but that also, if you have DeLauder up, that implies that George Valera is probably not here, or he's hurt again, which is also very likely. That implies that
also means DeLauder. I'm going to do everything's favor and interrupt. That implies DeLauder is healthy, which he has not been able to do ever. Like in college, in the minors this year, he has missed significant time with injury basically every year of his advanced playing life. So you got to keep that in mind. Yeah, we're all focused on, hey, after that initial injury, he's been fine. But this is a guy much like George Valera, where little injuries seem to knock out a month and a half, sometimes more of every single season he's played in.
Wasn't he fine college in 2021? I know 2022 he was hurt.
No, he did not complete a full season in college.
What injury did he have the year before? He had the foot injury his draft year. What was
his draft year? It was another minor ding and miss. He did not play. Was it a knee? I can't remember. But because he played the Cape that year. And he played a lot of games on the Cape. He was great on the Cape. That's what really elevated his numbers. But he played less games, I believe, over his three. One of them was a COVID year. Yeah, he only played in 26 games in 2021. He played he played 24 in 2022 and 34 in the Cape. I mean, he played as many games across 3 years, one being a COVID year, as most guys play in one season. So he was never ever healthy in college, and that was an issue.
It's a concern. Yeah. I think it's unlikely he comes up. For the health reasons, and B, just he would have to be healthy and playing out of his mind for Cleveland to be forced into that decision. Early thoughts on the starting rotation in Columbus next season. Cantillo, and this is a fun one.
Leftwich, we assume is going to be up there, right?
Yeah, he didn't have a great year in Akron.
I know.
Will Dion, your guy Will Dion.
Will Dion, yeah, I do like Will Dion quite a bit. Not opening day, because I don't think he'll be ready by then. When he comes back, do you just put Daniel Espino right in AAA? Do you skip AA? I know he only had 4 starts in AA. He dominated. Yeah, I mean, didn't he have more than? I thought he had more than that.
It was like maybe 6. It wasn't that much. He pitched like 12 innings or like 15 innings. It's not a lot. If they continue to use Hunter Stanley as a starter, he'll go to AAA as a rotation guy. Doug Nikhazy probably goes to AAA, even though he really struggled in AA. And Ross Carver. I'm very
just 4 games for him in AA. So I think Espino, knowing them, he would likely start in AA. They view that as a very important step in the ladder. So I would agree.
So I watch out for Ross Carver.
Yes, Ross Carver is a good call.
I'm very interested in him. He's going to play in the AFL.
Carver,
Cantillo, Dion, maybe Nikhazy, but you're also going to have. We have no idea what they're going to do with Morris.
Morris might start the year down there.
We just don't know what role he's going to be in. And Hunter Gaddis probably starts down there as depth. So there's that. Yeah.
I mean, Tanner Burns might get a move up. I know it was.
Well, Tanner Burns is in the bullpen now. Cleveland moved.
Okay, it's official.
Cleveland in the bullpen at the end of the year.
And then, do we know about Tommy? I mean, I didn't pay attention at all to Tommy.
Mace only got up the second half of Akron, and he didn't pitch all that great. So I would assume maybe one half of the season.
No, that's the thing. It's like there is kind of. We'll get into it later, but the pitching this year, a lot of guys fell back, graduated, or got hurt.
Ooh, this one might be kind of hard to answer in the next minute or so, but we can at least set it up. Any realistic trade targets for Bieber? We've talked about destinations for him all over the map, really. I think there's a lot of good fits. One of them, okay, so Jeff, you did the smart thing and pointed out that the starting pitching market is weak this offseason. It's Aaron Nola. It's Lucas Giolito. It's Blake Snell. It sounds like Eduardo Rodriguez is going to join them. He's going to opt out of his deal in Detroit.
Why didn't he accept a trade? That's still so weird to me.
He didn't want to go to L.A. It was a family decision. Can't blame him.
No, it's fine. You're right. You're absolutely right. But
yeah, so he'll go out and get some good money because he's pitched well this year. Detroit will probably do their best to re-sign him, truthfully, because they've got a lot of good talent coming.
Is he comp pick eligible? Did Boston not offer him a comp pick? I feel like.
Well, I don't know, but he's been under contract with the Tigers for a couple of years now, so he should be comp pick eligible because he's been there for
We can only get the qualifying offer once. So if he got when he left Boston, then he's not.
But what if you've played for the team
Doesn't
more than
matter.
a couple years? Oh,
you can only get it once.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, there are some targets out there for Bieber that should be interested based on the weak market. We'll throw out some team names.
The Tigers did surrender a pick for him, so yeah, they can't. He is completely unfettered.
Interesting. So that's good. That's good for his market, and that's not so good for Bieber, truthfully. Yeah. So we'll tell you why, and we'll tell you where we think he might land in a minute. If you are going to watch the game over the weekend, I know a lot of people are going to watch again. The Buckeyes are off on Saturday, so I don't have as much reason to use it, but I am a big fan of DoorDash. I've used it multiple times myself, and as I've said in the past before, I've used it for sending groceries and random household goods to my dad before he passed away. It's a really good tool for anybody who, if you have the money to do it, let's be honest here, it does take some financial requirements. It's not as cheap as going to the store to do it yourself, but if you have the financial means, it's not that expensive. It's not like it's crazy or anything, but you can send a lot of stuff very quickly, and you're also going to get a $20 value, 50% off your first DoorDash order when you use our code LOCKEDONMLB. So you are going to save some money here using DoorDash and use our code LOCKEDONMLB if you want to send something to a family member who maybe you can't run stuff to them. It's a really, and you have the time. You don't have a lot of time on your side to do it. So get 50% off that DoorDash order up to $20 value using that code LOCKEDONMLB at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. 50% off, $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees in that first order too. That's very important when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONMLB. Don't forget to use the code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off that first DoorDash order. Friday, the final series for Tito, the final series for Miguel Cabrera. Listen to that action on your Sirius XM app all weekend long. Just search Guardians. Okay, Jeff, first destination for Shane Bieber that's realistic. I am going to say...
While you're thinking, I'll say Arizona. And I'll go back to the fact that you can make some interesting deals with them. They have a Comp A pick. If you want to buy low, Christian Robinson is a really interesting prospect. Okay, the full book on Christian Robinson is he had a mental health break. He had a mental health issue, and he did assault a police officer. So let's put that on Front Street. He was walking on the highway, and something happened. So he had to be, basically, he could not play stateside for the last 3 years. He couldn't get a visa. So this is a guy who got $2.5 million and has been like a top 40 prospect who lost all those years, has big power from the right side, has big speed, but is down. Talk about a buy low.
He's off
on top
40.
On top of being on top of the fact that they could get potentially a Comp A pick, and then they have some outfielders. I don't know if there's anyone who can jump in and be a huge upgrade. Is the one downside there to them. Now they've moved from Canzone, unless you kind of like Dominic Fletcher, but Fletcher feels like more of what they have. I just wish there was they have a good B and C piece. I don't see the good A piece.
Cardinals are an obvious fit there. There are things you can do with the Cardinals. They definitely need pitching. I think the Cardinals have pieces to give up that can match the Guardians. Depends on how they feel about their outfielders. The Brewers, I think we've talked about the Brewers multiple times. They're going to have multiple guys hitting free agency next season. Bieber would too, for sure. So that makes things more complicated.
Yeah, it's hard with their current situation.
I wonder if the Brewers are more interested in Cal Quantrill. The Rangers are still a good fit for Bieber as well. They've got some stuff in their minors. I like their system quite a bit.
Honestly,
they don't really have.
The Reds should get talked about. They'll have that Comp B pick, not a Comp A. They have depth for days. We talked about yesterday, someone like Jake Fraley, who had a great first half, but can't even find at bats right now, and they're going to keep moving guys. So I still think there's a world where a Reds trade makes sense, especially if you can turn a Comp B into a first-round pick. Yeah.
Ed wants to know realistic right-handed outfielders with power.
None
could be targeted. I hate to tell you guys, it's a slim market. Everybody wants power. Everybody wants outfielders. Cleveland's not alone in this. If you have any young outfielders under contract, you're keeping them. You're not moving them. The free agent market stinks. I'm looking at the free agent market. Okay, Lourdes Gurriel is a free agent. 24 home runs this year. I don't know how many were hitting Arizona. Lourdes Gurriel's decent, but he's not your normal middle of the order pop. I don't think the Brewers are moving on from Mark Canha. I think they would keep him next year. He's got a club option. He's been a big part of their team since he got traded there.
They'll be interesting.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not a switch hitter, but like if they keep Canha, and I sent you an article about how Tyrone Taylor has been a big has had the highest ISO on that team in the second half. They actually
He's
it's like
Disney.
He is left-handed, but they're not trading him because of that. But it's like I don't know what hand Sal Frelick is, but there's a world where a Frelick, a Weimer, a Garrett Mitchell. I don't know what hands any of them are, but like those are guys who it turns out Tyrone Taylor, by the way, right-handed, but it's like one of those guys maybe could help you though. I'm just looking at outfielders, like trying to find a right-handed bat. That's it's already hard enough to find an outfielder in general, let alone to get focused on what they hit as. The one outfielder who again is one
I know who you're going to mention. I know who you're going to say right here.
Who am I going to mention? The
Taylor Ward. You're going to say Taylor Ward.
Yeah, and he's a right-hand guy with multiple years
of
control, who had a rough start but bounced back, and then had the ball off the face and has facial fractures, won't play the rest of the year. And that's a team, that Angels team could be in for a massive rebuild when this season hits. Like they're kind of Trout is Trout, and I don't know what his trade market's going to be. Joe Adell has actually played pretty well in the last month, so it's like okay, we can try and build around Adell and Trout. But yeah, I'm
fine with Taylor Ward. Here's the thing. We're going to talk about Taylor Ward over the offseason, I'm sure, multiple times because there's going to be probably rumors. He's 29.
Yeah.
He is coming off a very serious injury. You have no idea how he's going to bounce back from this. This is an injury that could really shake things. It was a facial fracture. He's hit by a pitch. Guy has bounced back from this weirdly sometimes. He's a late bloomer. He's had 3 solid years in a row, although the 2021 year he didn't play a whole lot.
And he's converted catchers sometimes take longer. Yeah,
if you make this trade, what are you giving up? And this can apply to a lot of different deals. What are you giving up for Taylor Ward? And also because there has to be more. Taylor Ward is the kind of guy to me that, okay, that's a fine acquisition. You can do stuff with that, but you have to do more. He is not a guy where you say, okay, we got Taylor Ward, we've got our group. This is what we need to add to our group. We're done. Like there has to be an and to this, which is why I say if you're going to get Taylor Ward, you have to be careful what you give up for this because I think there has to be more done.
The one thing I'll say is like this is a team that cut David Fletcher after giving him a big contract, and he has been their second baseman because they have no other options. So they're in a world where this is the rare team where you could do an infielder for outfielder trade, and this is the thing I'll say. It's also to kind of throw your words back at you. Is we talked about like Taylor Ward might be as good as it gets on the trade market this year. Like as much as this might be the only piece they could maybe
but that
add.
means they can hold a higher price for him, and I don't think he is the kind of guy you want to be overpaying for. I just don't.
No, but I mean, I feel like at this point in time, there's so much infield depth here. There's a way to necessarily, figure out a way to get that done because they need.
The Angels might be the one team you can rip off. Yeah. There's not a lot of teams you can rip off in one trades. The Angels might be one of the few.
I know a lot of people like Ty Freeman, but this could be the perfect, like Ty Freeman and a lesser pitching guy, or even a Ty Freeman and a Cal Quantrell, so they can feel like they're trying to compete now.
Right.
And that might get you Adell in a secondary piece, or not Adell, Ward in a secondary.
All right, we got a few.
Yeah,
we got a few more to roll through here. Brand Eyebrow, our buddy on Twitter.
We already did that.
External. We kind of already did it. Yeah. I'm going to throw out Leody Tavares too. Texas is an interesting one.
He's just plus Miles Straw.
He is.
I mean, I'd rather go for Frelick and hope for, like I said, Frelick is a guy too where we talked about like I'd be willing to flip Quantrell and Rocchio for Frelick, and Frelick's got some really good athleticism, and I think it's enough of an upgrade.
I agree. Chas McCormick could be an interesting one too. The Astros talk about wanting to trade him for pitching. Comment by Tanner for Rookie of the Year. Is Kjerstad still a pipe dream for Bieber? Yes, that's not happening. We can move on from that one.
I still think there's a small chance. I don't think Kjerstad is that high level of a prospect. He's kind of one of their mid-tier guys.
Chuck, our buddy on Twitter. Path for Juan Brito to play in Cleveland. When does he arrive? I think the best path for him is still second base.
Yeah.
You could move Steven Kwan to center and put Brito in left, but he's got to go through a lot of time to figure that out. I think your best bet is Jimenez at short, Brito at second, and that might be the best way to go. He might be the best bat in the minors.
Mid-season is probably the quickest you'd see.
Earliest, yeah. Who will the Guardians trade this offseason? Arias, Rocchio, Freeman, Tana, Martinez, Who should they? From Zach, I'm going to say they should trade Freeman. No spot for him here. I don't know if Tana has a lot of value.
No,
your value guys are Rocchio and Arias,
and Martinez.
Who you want to?
You should trade Rocchio, and I'll say this because Rocchio has the most value, and they need to go out and get some pieces. So the guy you should trade is Rocchio because he's the one who's going to net something. I'm not sure any of those other pieces net something.
And being able to move him in as a shortstop also gives you a little bit of money in the bank there. Real quick at the end here from our longtime supporter, Mark. Pretend the Guardians trade for 23-year-old right-handed corner outfielder with 29 home runs, a 97 OPS. Don't you think I'm going to be excited about him? Because I know there's a lot of talk about J-Rod not being the answer, Jonathan Rodriguez. Yeah. Look, I think Rodriguez will be added to the 40-man roster this offseason, but I would still be looking at the same stuff. I'd be looking at the strikeout rate, looking at the chase rate. I'd be looking at his history. Like, yeah, the stats are great, but
I don't judge prospects based on home run totals and OPS. Like, those are not predictive.
Who was it? The guy from the Rays that hit 30 home runs in the minors for Cleveland a couple years ago. I can't remember the guy's last name.
Schaffer.
Richie Schaefer had 30 home runs in the minors for Cleveland. Bobby Bradley's had 30 home runs down there. Yeah, Andy Marte hit like 25. Laporte hit 25.
Doesn't matter. You want to look at, look at the K rate. You want to look at the imbalance between walk and K rate. You want to look at ISO, isolated power. You want to look at BABIP. The home runs
and defensive value, which Rodriguez.
That's the thing. Jonathan Rodriguez, everyone gets fixated on the home runs, and it's great. And I personally would have rather seen him up here than Cole Calhoun at the end of the year. Like all this time, I would have much rather seen him get that run. But it's a very similar profile to Oscar. And we've talked about that is a hard profile to find success. And there's a reason why, like a year ago, when I pulled up like 4 batters with Oscar's walk and K ratios and contact, there's only 4 guys in the last 20 years who had even had that. And that was across all of it because those guys don't stick. It's a profile that doesn't find success.
All right. Well, that's all we got for this week. The next time we talk to you, the season will be over and we will be into off-season mode. So, thanks for listening all year. Thanks for supporting us. We have lots to do in the offseason, and
go Guardians, go.